Have you ever noticed how quickly we let the world control us? A single text message ruins your whole day. A co-worker's tone makes your heart race. A delay in traffic, and suddenly you're furious. It feels like the world is constantly poking at us, and we can't help but react. But what if I told you nothing can truly hurt you unless you let it? What if the real power is not in fighting back, but in not reacting at all? The Buddha taught pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. And the key that unlocks this wisdom is non-reaction. Today I invite you to go deep into this teaching, to discover why non-reaction is the ultimate power, and how you can practice it every day. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to stop giving away your peace, and start living from a place of strength that no one can shake. Let's get honest. Most of our suffering doesn't come from life itself. It comes from our reaction to life. A criticism isn't the real pain. It's your mental replay that hurts. Have you ever noticed how quickly we let the world control us? A single text message ruins your whole day. A co-worker's tone makes your heart race. A delay in traffic, and suddenly you're furious. It feels like the world is constantly poking at us, and we can't help but react. But what if I told you nothing can truly hurt you unless you let it? What if the real power is not in fighting back, but in not reacting at all? The Buddha taught pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. And the key that unlocks this wisdom is non-reaction. Today I invite you to go deep into this teaching, to discover why non-reaction is the ultimate power, and how you can practice it every day. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to stop giving away your peace, and start living from a place of strength that no one can shake. Let's get honest. Most of our suffering doesn't come from life itself. It comes from our reaction to life. A criticism isn't the real pain. It's your mental replay that hurts. Have you ever noticed how quickly we let the world control us? A single text message ruins your whole day. A co-worker's tone makes your heart race. A delay in traffic, and suddenly you're furious. It feels like the world is constantly poking at us, and we can't help but react. But what if I told you nothing can truly hurt you unless you let it? What if the real power is not in fighting back, but in not reacting at all? The Buddha taught pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. And the key that unlocks this wisdom is non-reaction. Today I invite you to go deep into this teaching, to discover why non-reaction is the ultimate power, and how you can practice it every day. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to stop giving away your peace, and start living from a place of strength that no one can shake. Let's get honest. Most of our suffering doesn't come from life itself. It comes from our reaction to life. A criticism isn't the real pain. It's your mental replay that hurts. Have you ever noticed how quickly we let the world control us? A single text message ruins your whole day. A co-worker's tone makes your heart race. A delay in traffic, and suddenly you're furious. It feels like the world is constantly poking at us, and we can't help but react. But what if I told you nothing can truly hurt you unless you let it? What if the real power is not in fighting back, but in not reacting at all? The Buddha taught pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. And the key that unlocks this wisdom is non-reaction. Today I invite you to go deep into this teaching, to discover why non-reaction is the ultimate power, and how you can practice it every day. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to stop giving away your peace, and start living from a place of strength that no one can shake. Let's get honest. Most of our suffering doesn't come from life itself. It comes from our reaction to life. A criticism isn't the real pain.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Elite Tribe. Today is going to be like an amazing experience for us, and then I would like to confirm if everybody can hear me clearly. If you can hear me, there is a chat, so you can just make use of your chat um, button so that we can know if everyone can hear me clearly, and then if there's any challenges whatsoever. Okay, yes, thank you for that confirmation. And welcome to Elite Tribe. We are going to be talking about wealth intelligence. It's going to be a very amazing time and an amazing section. So, before we get started, I would like to talk about what Elite Tribe is all about, why we started it, and what you should be looking out for, right? Because it's very important that we have an understanding about this and get ourselves up ahead. So please note that this is not a political or a religious platform. So what we do here is not religious to an extent. So we are building like a neutral ground where everybody, whether you are a Buddha, a Christian, a Muslim, whatever platform you or religion you belong to, you should be able to get value from this platform. And one of the things that we are also working on doing is that we have noticed that principle is the same across all religions. So, irrespective of the religion you are serving, principles remains the same across all sector. Then another thing to note is that when it has to do with let me get it from my notes. Yeah, so why do we start Elite Tribe? So the major reason why Elite Tribe actually exists today is simply because I've gotten a lot of questions that regarding how do I make money, what is money about, and whatnot. And due to those questions I've been asked, I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me just come together, put a training together, or just have like a weekly classes where I get to answer most of the questions that have been asked, get to let people know um, how they can be able to position themselves better and how they can be able to do life better. So now, our vision is to be able to raise a disciplined, wealth intelligent leader who live by standard and live by principle, right? So, the goal is we are looking to see how we can be able to raise disciplined, intelligent, and spiritually aligned individual who operate with wealth, influence, and a lasting standard. So, we have seven major pillars that governs us, and everything that we do is going to fall under these seven major pillars. So, pillar number one is an elite mindset. So, there is what makes certain people rich, there is what makes certain people poor, there are what make certain people wealthy, powerful, strong, and whatnot. The major thing is their mindset, the ability to be able to think differently than every other person out there. This is one of the things that we are looking for. So our code, our trainings, our teachings, and every other thing is going to be around the elite mindset. Number two is spiritual intelligence. In as much as we are working on doing a neutral ground, one of the things I believe in is that Jesus remains at the center of everything that we are doing, right? So I'm not ashamed of that. So Jesus Christ is at the center of it. So we believe that spirituality in itself is not just for a set of religion. I think so. We're going to be covering spiritual intelligence, understanding principles, and whatnot. Then we're going to be looking at what intelligence, having a thorough understanding of what it is and how you can be able to make money. Then we'll also cover personal mastery, we'll look at physical presence and vitality. It's very important, right? Then social power and influence, the legacy and standard. So in legacy and standard, it has to do with family, relationship, love, and whatnot, right? So our goal is to have a holistic approach to everything that we are building today. Okay, so let's get right into today's class, which is wealth intelligence. I've noticed that when it has to do with wealth, most times it is not the availability of the resources you have for you to start your process. So I was making research and I discovered that about 48.9% of the world population actually live in poverty. So that is actually a very, very, very scary thing. So imagine that 48.9%, almost 50% of the population live below poverty line. So what is poverty line? Poverty line is anybody that live below $1.5 per day live below poverty line. So that means if you're living below $1.5 every day, that means or you are not making whatever you're making in a month, by the time you divide it by 30, is not up to $1.5 per day. It simply means you're living below poverty line, right? So we have about 48.9% of people who are actually living below poverty line. That's to tell you that there is a need for you to pay attention to wealth, because this is one of the things that affects the majority of the things we do in the world today. So I was checking the poorest country in the world, and I discovered that South Sudan is the poorest country in the world. But when I was looking into it, I also discovered that they are rich in a lot of natural resources. So they have availability of resources at their disposal. It's just like Nigeria. Nigeria live about 40% of our population live below poverty line. And then in the richest country in terms of oil reserve is Venezuela, and 80% of their population live below poverty line. So you can imagine that a country as Venezuela, having the largest oil reserve, have the 80% of their population living below poverty line. That has to tell you that the availability of resources is not enough for you to be able to come out of poverty or for you to actually be wealthy. Because there are many people, if you check yourself, if you check um, this thing, the resources that they call it natural resources. It simply means that you did not do anything to have that resources, right? So if you check yourself currently now, you will know that there is a kind of resources that you currently have. People call it gift, people call it talent, people call it whatever name that they've given to it. But yet you don't have money and you're still broke. There is no difference between you and Venezuela. There is no difference between you and Sudan. There is no actual difference, right? So both of you are actually operating in the same um, position. The only difference is that one is a country and you are an individual. And there is nobody that's an individual. According to Bible, we say you are a city set on the hill that cannot be hidden. So you are a nation already. So you're not just an individual. You as a person, you are a nation. So that's to tell you that the same problem happening to other countries is the same problem happening to you as an individual. You have certain gifts, you have certain talent, but people do not, to an extent, um, pay huge amount of money for natural resources, right? So you have to be able to refine that resources in order for them to be able to pay for that kind of resources that you currently have. So the skill set you have, the giftings you have, the talent you have is to an extent, if unrefined, it is not enough to give you the kind and the quality of result or the quality of reward that you are looking for. So let's take an analogy for let's have an analogy. So imagine that you came to my house and I brought out rice uncooked. I brought out tomato uncooked. I brought out pepper uncooked. I brought out all the ingredients that will prepare you either rice and stew or jollof rice. Will you be willing to pay so much money for just that thing I'm giving to you? You're most likely not going to do it because you already know that, oh, this thing you I'm giving to you is natural resources. Because why? It does not solve your problem, because you need to come in and put in more time, more energy to be able to convert it into refined product. This is the reason why when you go out to certain places to buy food, it's a little bit expensive, right? Compared to when you now have to either cook it by yourself and whatnot. That's to tell you that natural resources alone does not have um, the potential to give you the reward that you need in life. What you need to do is for you to now convert that natural resources into refined resources. That's why that a country like Nigeria back then send out the natural resources, our oil, we send it out and they refined it and bring it to us at a more expensive amount of money. Like I think I heard that it was like 100 times the amount that they bought it. So imagine that they're buying it for $1 and they're selling it to us for like up to $500 because of the process it takes them to be able to refine it. So the gift you have, the talent you have, and other things is not just enough for it to bless you. It has to undergo through fire for it to be refined. When I was actually meditating on an anchor scripture for this thing, one of the scripture that came to my mind is he make us to pass through fires, he has caused men to ride upon our head, makes us to pass through fire, makes us to pass through water. Then he brought us into a wealthy place. Okay, so that simply means that in order for you to be able to come into that state of wealth, you need to undergo or go through that fire process. You must go through fire, you must go through water, and sometimes they will most likely ride upon your head. But the most important thing is for you to now get to that point that you're looking for. So, as a country, we have seen countries that are wealthy become very, very, very poor. We have seen countries that are poor become wealthy. I was checking for United Kingdom. I heard that they didn't have so much natural resources the way we do. So they have to create a means to be able to harness the resources of other people. Now remember this analogy where Jesus Christ said something. I send you as sheep, as wolf. Yes, as sheep, right? I send you as sheep among wolf. So that's the thing. So most times, the difference between a sheep and a wolf is that a sheep has within itself the ability to be able to produce or the kind of resources that they want. But for wolf do not have itself self-survival. For wolf to survive, it has to depend on other animals he has to kill other animals. He has to eat other animals to survive. He majorly survived by killing wolf to survive, right? That's how the order of things are. So people who do not have within them self-sufficiency, people who do not have natural resources, people who do not have major resources that they need to survive, they will have to stretch forth their hand and devour those that have the resources. That is how it always operates. They will stretch forth their hand and devour the people that have the resources and then take that resources upon themselves to be able to now build themselves. So you are a sheep. It means that you have the ability to be able to survive on your own. You do not need to kill other people to survive. You also need the leadership of a shepherd in order for them to guide you. And then most times, most wolves are just foolish. They don't really think. So as sorry, most sheep rather they are foolish. They don't think. So what did he say? In as much as I'm sending you as a sheep, having these characteristics, possess within you the shrewdness, be as shrewd as the serpent, and be as harmless or as innocent as the dove. Be as humble as the dove. That's the reason why I'm sending you there. So when you come to, you know, you have within you the resources and self-sufficiency. By the time you meet wolf, you must be wise enough not to allow wolf to devour you. Countries who has less natural resources always tend to do better because why? They devour the people who have more natural resources. They are wolf, they are sheep, the ones with not much resources are sheep, but they do not possess the shrewdness of a serpent. And because of that, they are going to consume them, right? So we've not yet started our teaching. I'm just trying to lay down certain foundation. So you want to ensure that as an individual possessing certain natural resources, you must refine your resources and guard it with all your heart. Guard it. Okay. So one of the things, so we are looking at wealth intelligence, the paradox of wealth and positional advantage. So if you, the children of the poor and the children of the rich are two different things. How they are being trained and how they are being taught is different from how the children of the poor is being trained. For instance, if you are a poor person, your desire and your goal may be to become please, I'm in no way insulting any profession or any career, right? So I'm just giving an analogy how the poor children actually think or how the poor generations actually think. So your desire is to go to school and get a job. Once you get a job, let's take for instance, you get a job in any organizations, whatnot, everybody around you is happy. But in the family of the elite, the family of the rich, it does not work that way. In fact, if you even have a job and you tell them that, oh, I just got a job as a photographer, your father will not be happy. They'll be like, what exactly do you want to do with a job as a photographer? Or like, what do you mean that you got a job as a photographer? Because why? They think in different things. The rich think in system, the poor think in income. There are two different ways. The rich think in system, the poor think in income. The rich think in assets, the poor think in jobs. Once I'm able to get job, once I'm able to work hard to align myself, it simply means that I'm going to do well. Why that is not actually wrong in itself, you must be able to transit from not just thinking about job and income to start thinking about system and assets. We're going to go into that shortly, and I'm going to be breaking it down for you. So, but before we get started, let me just drop down a couple of technologies I wrote here. So, one of the things you need to have in mind is that just have this at the back of your mind already that God's desire is for you to be wealthy. Nothing else should change that kind of thinking for you anymore. So there are certain terminologies I'm going to be defining that then we can then run through. So now the first one is going to be poverty. So poverty is a state of mind or a condition in which an individual lack the resources and essential basic for standard living. So what is poverty? Poverty is like a state of mind first and then a condition, a state of mind and then a condition in which an individual, a group, a family, they lack the financial wealth to do, the resources, the financial wealth to do, and the essential resources that is needed for them to be able to afford basic standard living or standard of living. So once you see that there are certain people who cannot be able to afford basic standard of living, they attempt to be in poverty. You always want something, you always need something, but you can't afford it. If, for instance, I want this bottle of water, but I am unable to afford this bottle of water, it simply means that I am poor, right? So this is something I need at this point, but I can't afford it. So once you need it, but you do not have the resources to be able to afford that basic standard of living. Simply, so what are the standard of living? One is a good shelter over your head, a good clothes, food on your table, and all those mass. I think it's Maslow hierarchy of needs, right? Once you're unable to be able to attain those kind of things, it simply means that you're in a state of poverty. So there are certain people that have a job, they are making money. But from this definition, you may not necessarily be poor, but you will move to the second stage of, or yes, the junior brother of poverty, which is lack and want, right? Either lack or want, right? So for lack or want, it simply means that you are not necessarily poor. You are currently living in an apartment, there's food in your table, but if you need something, right, and you don't have the financial wealth to that, the resources to be able to get that thing done, you are actually in a state of lack or want. Now let's define riches. Riches is the abundance of material possession and resources. Now most people think wealth and riches are actually the same thing. They are not. So when you say this person is wealthy and this person is rich, they are two different things entirely, right? So what is wealth itself? Wealth itself is the abundance of valuable resources and the system that generate or guarantee sustained value independent of your time and energy. Now, some people are rich, they make 5 million every month, or they make 5,000 or $10,000 every month. But that money that they make is tied to their time and energy. For instance, if they don't show up to do certain things, they're not making money. If they don't show up to work, they're not making money. So those people are rich, but they are not wealthy because wealth itself is the abundance of financial resources or resources essentially with the freedom of your time and energy. So whether you are there, you are not there, you come to a point where you are making money consistently until you've come to that point where you have it in large quantum and then the system guaranteed for replenishing it and providing it, you are not said to be wealthy. Then what then is intelligence? Intelligence is the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skill. Your ability to be able to acquire and apply knowledge and skill. I wrote here that intelligence is the capacity to perceive patterns, interpret information accurately, and make strategic decisions that improve outcome over time. I'll take that one more time. Intelligence is the capacity to perceive patterns, interpret information accurately, and make strategic decisions that improve outcomes over time. You are said to be intelligent if you have the ability to be able to perceive pattern, to interpret any information accurately, and to make strategic decision that can be able to improve your outcome over a period of time. There are certain people that are brilliant but not intelligent. What that simply means is that when it has to do with academical section, they are actually smart, they are actually brilliant. But when it has to do with making life decision, they are not intelligent. So intelligence simply means your ability to be able to recognize pattern or pattern recognition, and based on those pattern recognition, you can be able to make an informed decision that will give you a positive outcome over a certain period of time. Until you are able to do that and get positive and predictable outcome consistently over a certain period of time, we do not call you intelligent person. We can call you someone that's brilliant, we can call you street smart, we can call you what have you, but we can't call you an intelligent person. So then what then is wealth intelligence, right? Our title. So this is the strategic capacity to identify, position, and control value producing assets before they become obvious to the majority. I was telling someone that once once it gets to the masses, it is already too late. So what that simply means is that if you're thinking of investing in an organization, or you're thinking of doing certain businesses or thereabout in certain areas, once the masses are aware that that thing currently exists, then the chances of it actually giving you the kind of desired outcome become slimmer, right? So as an individual, you must come to a point where you can be able to make certain decision and then convert what you have from not just an income into wealth. So now, why should you be wealthy? So there's just one major reason why you should be wealthy. The reason is known as options. Your ability to be able to choose certain kind of options that you want for your life. If you can't choose options, if you don't have the ability to choose that options, then it's going to be difficult for you, right? So there are three essential things to be wealthy. Number one is to live a comfortable life. Number two is to now become an extension of blessing to humanity. So you can be able to help people if you actually have money, right? But if you don't have it, then how can you not help people? Number three is to be able to accomplish purpose. There I've met people that have brilliant idea, but the ability to be able to execute that idea is not there. The reason why in the Bible, the God of the Bible did not show Joseph the dream and showed it to Pharaoh, it is because Joseph do not possess in him the ability and the capacity to be able to bring that dream to life. There are certain ideas you will not have until you have financial capacity. You just can't see it, you just can't have it. So yes, there's a part where we've interpreted that scenario to be that, oh, the king wanted Joseph, and no, Joseph is a solution provider and whatnot, right? Why that is actually good and true, but I've come to realize personally that the major reason why God did not show Joseph that dream is that Joseph does not possess the capacity to be able to prevent that thing or to maneuver it for it not to happen. So there are certain ideas, there are certain things you will not get because you don't have there is a waste of knowledge. It's a waste because if I'm to speak to you right now, go back and open your book, you will discover that there are certain ideas you've written down. Why haven't you accomplished it? The financial wealth to do is not there for you to be able to accomplish that idea. I believe you can start small. I believe you can run with what you currently have. I buy into that ideology. But I can tell you for a fact that it is even better to start big than just start small. Unless maybe you're doing an MVP and testing and whatnot. Okay, so why are people actually poor? Why are people actually poor? The first one is ignorance. Most people are poor simply because they don't know. They know not, neither do they understand. So they walk in darkness, and the earth is without void. So they know not, and they do not understand. And because of that, you can see them walking in darkness. in darkness, in darkness, in darkness, in darkness, in darkness. I was telling my assistant the other time that if you want to be a person that is actually wealthy, or one of the things you must look out for is go beyond solving problem and start creating solutions. I'll take that again. Go beyond solving problems and start creating solutions. So these are two different things. And what does that actually mean? Right? So solving problems simply means that you've been able to identify the gaps that is needed and then you just fill up that gaps. But the problem with solving problem is that it can always reoccur again. And once it reoccurs again, you are not able to fix that same problem again. But when you create solution, what you did is to be able to solve every future problem that will arise again. Now, let me explain this in terms of the Bible. God said, "Let there be light." Why didn't He just come and say, "Darkness, get away"? He knew that darkness will always show up again. So what did he do? He created a system that will defeat darkness whenever it comes up, and he named that system light. So he doesn't need to come and keep solving that same problem whenever darkness shows up, because he has created a solution that once darkness occur, light must come in over time. So what do you do as an individual is you go beyond just solving problem by closing the loopholes that exist, but rather you then create solutions that no matter what the loophole that will come in the nearest future, that solution you've created will solve that loophole. Second thing is second difference between solving problem and creating solution is when it has to do with solving problem, you are thinking of the now and not the tomorrow. When it has to do with creating solution, you are thinking of tomorrow and the future to come. So Esau and Jacob. Esau solved the problem of hunger, right, by selling his birthright and eating now. Jacob created a solution where he can be able to collect the blessing of Esau by giving him the food. So you solve problem, that problem only solves your solution for now. It does not cover what is going to be happening or the problem that will be arising tomorrow. But when you create solution solve your future problem. This is the reason why you have to not just think of income. I'll break it down. Income solves your problem of now. System, asset solve your problem of tomorrow. So when you are thinking of wealth as an individual, you have to be thinking it as a long-term game. What can you do that no matter when, if the problem arises tomorrow, you've created a system that is designed to solve it tomorrow and not just to focus on solving that problem today. There are certain people that all they just want to do is just to find what to eat now, and after they've eaten, they're fine. And then tomorrow they go about working for what to eat again. And then the next day they are working for what they will eat that day. And then it keep happening over and over again that they keep working for what to eat. Go and study how God created the earth. He created it in system. He created the whole earth in system. He created the whole earth in system. He created the whole earth in system, not in income, not to solve today problem. And he rested on the seventh day and he has been resting till now. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't get a job. We're still going to talk about we've not even talked about um why okay, we've covered why you should be wealthy. All right, we've never covered the four levels of wealth, so we're still going to go into that. So you must think in system. You must be thinking. So what is the problem? How can I be able to solve this or create a solution that solve this problem whenever the problem arises again? Right? So why people poor, like we are talking about, number one is ignorance. They refuse to be enlightened. They know not, neither do they understand. And because of that, they walk in darkness. There's one part I'm looking for. I think it says that um, the road of the road of something weareth them because they do not know the way to the city. I'm trying to remember that this thing let me check. They do not know the way to the city. The labor of the fool weareth him because he does not know the way to the city. There is a way, there is a way, there is a way. The first thing is ignorance. People do not really know. And because they know not, neither do they understand. They know not, neither do they understand. They know not, neither do they understand. That is the major reason why they walk in darkness. The labor of the fool weareth him. Because why? He does not know the way to enter into the city. Ignorance, lack of knowledge to be able to do the things that you need to do. Number two is laziness. Well, this generation, I was reading statistics and I discovered that when it has to do with our Gen Z, that they are the lowest, they have the lowest IQ than their parents. So you can imagine, like they possess the lowest IQ than their parents. So most people are lazy. You just don't want to know. That's it. A man lost a coin, and the first thing he did was he turned on the lights and then he began to search. So you must master the ability to search. You must look at your book and then you must search for it. Everything you need is hidden in knowledge, is hidden in knowledge. Not just knowledge, but knowledge that produces result. Number three is incomplete knowledge. Some people know, but they don't know completely. Then the fourth one is absence of skill slash value that is needed and useful. Then we have the last one, which is absent of relationship. Do you know that you can be very, very dull, but if you have very good relationship, that can actually save you a lot of things. Certain people are born into wealthy family. They don't need to know what money is and all that. They just, by virtue of birth and by virtue of relationship they have with their father, they are not just going to suffer, right? So absence of strategic relationship can make your life suffer. This earth is world is men driven, is men dependent. It is so it exists in a way that it's interconnected, right? I need you to survive, you need me to survive, we need each other to survive. This gender war that is going on here and there, we all of us need each other to survive. And let me just chip this in. As a young person, one of the things you must master is media literacy, right? You must master media literacy. You have to be very, very intentional. Like I saw the post, and in my mind, I'm like, why, why? You must know how to. There are two things I was. You must know who to pitch your tent with, the relationship to pitch your tent with. Number two, you must know who to fight. Some of you, everything you post it online, everything you post it online. In the next, when in 10 years to come, you start to pay the price of that foolishness. You start to pay the price of all those things that you're posting online. So, as a young person, master media literacy. Know the things you post and the things you don't post. I think one of the criteria for getting visa to the United States, and I think either the United Kingdom as well, is you must submit your social media account. They will have to vet you to know if you've talked bad against their country, and or you are someone that posts certain things that doesn't just make sense, right? So now let's go to how to break out of poverty slash want. The first thing you must do is that you must come to the awareness, or you must acknowledge where you are currently. You must look at where you currently are, and you must acknowledge that, say, you know what, I need help. I need help. The reason why most of us are struggling, I can guarantee you, is not simply because there is no money in Nigeria. Do you know how much is flying in this country? Do you know how much is even flying in Ghana? Do you know how much is flying in Rwanda? Do you know how much is flying in UK, in US, wherever country you are? Do you know how much is flying actually in that country you belong to? There is so much money, but the problem is because we grew up in a family that we've seen our parents struggle. Now, there's something people call generational curses, where they go about casting out spirit influences and whatnot. You need to understand that the thing we call generational causes is just a pattern recognition, generational pattern. I was explaining it within my community. So let me just the very breakdown of what that means. So what people call generational causes is pattern recognition. That's what it means. So they say, oh, there's a generational curse in your lineage. People that are within this family do not do this, or people who are born in this family, their marriages scatter. People who are born in this family do not prosper. They always suffer and all that. Now, those kind of conversation already that is being happening in your family is building something in your mind. Now, let me explain to you why I think that children are not just children. I hear people say, I leave him now, he's just a child or she's just a child. No, they're not children. They're not just, their system together. And your inability to be able to mold them when they are little is going to show up when they actually become older. So when they are small, I think before they clock the age of 7 and 8, before they reach into the stage of complex reasoning, right? One of the things that happens within their mind is there are two major things that when you mention the mind contains two major things. Excuse me. The mind contains two major things. The first part of it is known as your consciousness. Your consciousness is the ability, or it is the tool that helps you to be able to filter certain information and certain knowledge that comes into your mind. Who you are, what you do, and who you will become is a subtotal of your subconscious mind, not your conscious mind, your subconscious mind. The things that are there that are dominant, those are the things that forms your belief system. Those are the things that forms your ideology. Those are the things that forms your character, that forms your persuasion, that forms your perspective and your perception about life. This is who you are. So before a child clocks 7, they don't have that conscious part of them that can filter information. All they have is the subconscious part of them. So everything that happens in around them goes right inside them, and it forms the basis of who they become. They may not remember vividly, but they will subconsciously tilt to what is familiar. You need to understand that human beings tilt to what is familiar. Humans tilt to what is familiar. So poverty is familiar to them, so they will tilt to it. They can try their best to want to break out of there, but if they've not been able to do this in their mind, it becomes very difficult for them to come out of that poverty. So they will do everything other people are doing, and it will not work simply because they've refused to renew their mind. So the child is growing up before he clocks 10, he's growing up, and all he keeps hearing is, in this family, we are poor. All you keep seeing around his family is everybody is poor. All you keep seeing um, is that, my grandmother marriage did not work, my mother marriage do not work, her one of their siblings, their marriage is not working. Is now because why? It is not just a pattern. Your life tilts to what is familiar. Your life tilts to your most conscious or your most dominant subconscious thought pattern. Your life will tilt to your most dominant subconscious thought pattern. So you grew up in an environment of lack, you grew up in an environment of want, or some people grew up in an environment of where everything is comfortable, and you will discover that your life will tilt to that environment. So if you grew up in a family that you are comfortable, you're neither poor nor rich, you will subconsciously tilt to that. You will discover that those set of people will not be poor, but they will neither be rich. They will always be comfortable. Everything that they need for them to sort out anything, they will have it. They will have a house, they will have a car, they will even take their children to some good schools. They will be okay. They will be in the middle class, but they will not be wealthy. The reason is because that is a threshold that they saw. It has built within them certain subconscious mind and certain patterns within them. It has entered into their subconscious life, and your life in general will tilt to what is familiar and to your most dominant thought pattern, your subconscious mind. That is where your life majorly will tilt. So that's why you see some people, they do not take risk. And you ask them, why not just take this risk? If you lose the money, you lose the money. They can't take that risk because why? They grew up in a family that everybody is playing it safe. Their mother played it safe, went to school, got a job. She had an opportunity to travel out, but she refused. Their father played it safe. Their father was doing well. He has a car, he has a house that is comfortable. He's not even thinking of any other thing again. Nothing, no aspiration, no much dream. You are okay. Those set of people will be like that. Oh, okay, but there are certain people that came out of poverty and they became very wealthy. Look at those set of people. They were something was able to interrupt that pattern. So either they were able to meet a rich man or a mentor who was able to train them, or they read books. Something just interrupts the pattern. They were now reintroduced to a certain kind of life that they really want. And then they look at themselves and they be like, this is the life I want. And then they have access to somebody to guide them, to talk to them, to counsel them, to give them assignment, to train them and whatnot. And you realize that their life begin to improve as a result of that new pattern that is being introduced to them. This is the reason why in church we see people casting out the spirit of poverty, rebuking, binding, praying, and whatnot, and yet their life is still the same, simply because they are working on that same pattern. It is that pattern that shaped them. It is that pattern that has made them who they are. It is that pattern that has turned them to who they currently is. They saw their father struggle, they saw their mother struggle. It is just a matter of time they will struggle. It's just a matter of time they will struggle unless they are able to interrupt that pattern. Or they saw their father living comfortable, they saw their mother living comfortable, they are going to live comfortable. It's just a matter of time they will live comfortable. They will do everything to attain that comfortability, stability, that comfortability, or that comfortable position rather. But once they become comfortable, it becomes very difficult for them to rise beyond that point. So patterns. So what we call as generational causes, oh, somebody from my mother's side is doing me, somebody from my father's side is doing me. Generational pattern needs a generational mindset to operate. For a generational pattern to actually operate, there has to be a generational mindset that has exist in that family for that generational pattern to actually operate. So if you want to not change it, then you have to renew that mind. Do not be conformed to this world. Do not be conformed to your family norm. Do not be conformed to the pattern of your generation. But be ye transformed by your ability to renew your mind. Be ye transformed by your ability to renew your mind. Become transformed by your ability to renew your mind, changing old patterns and creating new patterns. In AI, we call it pattern recognition. The ability to be able to predict the next output based on the availability of the pattern and the data that has been given to the AI. That's what it's called. So I can look at family, I can look at where you come from, and I can predict how your life will become the next 10 years. Or your family is okay, your family have a house, they're living comfortable. To in the next 10 years, if you are not there yet, I can guarantee you will get there. This one is not this thing. Just keep it's just a matter of time you will get there. You came from a family where your mother is being abused, maltreated, or your father is being abused, maltreated, or your parent is being abused and maltreated. It's just a matter of time you will get there. it just this one is that it's just a matter of time you will get there because you are most likely going to become what is familiar to you. What is familiar to you. So what do? You shift your mind. You interrupt the pattern. You cast a visual reality of what you want. There's something known as the visual board, where you get a board of what you want your life to actually become, and you keep looking at it until your life become that thing. So you want to shift from struggling, you want to shift. This thing I'm telling you, I saw it in my own life. Like I literally saw it. So it's not like I'm telling you something that does not. I literally saw it in my mind. I'm like, I've seen it. I'm like, no, 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 no. I need to work on something as fast as possible. So the first thing you want to do is you want to break out of it. You must first of all come to the acknowledgement of where you are currently. The one of the things that helped the prodigal son is that he came to his senses. Most people will live in denial. We live in denial. He came to his senses. He said, Abba, Abba. If I go to my father's house now, even the least of our maid does not live a life like this. Unfortunately, the prodigal son was meant to actually live comfortable and become wealthy. The only reason he became who he is after growing up in a wealthy family was because he chose another pattern. That was just it. So this is the same template. A rich man's son is meant to be rich. The reason why a rich man's son will not be rich is when he disrupts the pattern and follow another pattern. It's just it. It is the same across the principle remains the same across all. So if you see a poor man's child become very wealthy and rise to the top, he disrupts the pattern that exists in that family and rose there. You saw a rich man child that is wayward, poor, living battered, and all those things. It is the same thing. He disrupted the pattern that existed in that family and he went down. That's just it. Every family has a pattern. But I can tell you that it is almost impossible for a rich man child to be poor if and only if the parent is available to guide him. And then let me bring this also. This is not a relationship talk, but we're still talking about money. So let me bring this home and give an advice to the young men here. If you're a young man, you have no business marrying a foolish woman. Let me say it again. If you're a young man, you want a or you are doing well. If you're a young man, you are doing well, you have money, something is like your life is going well. You are looking at you have ambition, you are rising. You have no business marrying a foolish woman. I can give you cases of cases. Most children will look like their mother because they spend time with their mother the most. Most children will look like their mother because they spend most of their time with her. It's just it. So if you are married because the lady has BBL, or because the lady has certain kind of physical attributes, and you do not pay attention to have intellectual property, I can guarantee you that unless you put in the extra effort to subconsciously and consciously educate your children will look like her. It's just it. I've seen this one happen over time. If I'm lying now, look at yourself. Let's start with you. Check the trait and the pattern that exists in your life and compare it with your mother. You will see more of her represented there than more of your father. If I'm lying, you can tell me in the comment. If I'm lying, you can just say it in the comment. You will see more of her represented in your life than your father. There was a rich man that died one time. I was hearing the story, and they were complaining. They were saying, "Oh, the mother that no," they were complaining. I say the children of that man is they are wayward. They live anyhow. They do anyhow, and they've started selling their properties. They are not very responsible, and the like. I just asked one simple question: tell me about their mother. That's the first thing I just asked. And they say, the mother does not really do anything. Oh. She just stays at home, enjoy herself, make money. If the man wants to even correct the children, the mother will be like, no, they should leave them now. They are children. And this motherly love where you want to cover up your child wrong and all that. So that's the problem. I said that's the thing. So as a man, that's the reason why they say that behind every successful man there is a woman. It's also right. We have every foolish and unsuccessful man. There's also a woman there. There's also a woman that make the man life very foolish and unsuccessful. So for a young lady, you must also pay the price to be very. Well, when I made the research and I discovered this, I told myself I am not going to marry because of financial, or I'm not going to marry because of curve and just physical attributes alone. Why that is very important? I'm going to do that because it's very important. I'm also going to make sure that I am going to pay attention to what is up here. What is up here? Our ability to be able to converse intelligently, ability to be able to talk in numbers. I can give you business ideas and you can be able to execute it. The One of my mentor, the man is the man is a dreamer, is a visionary. A visionary is someone that sets the vision, but a visionary cannot accomplish that vision. The work of a visionary is to cast a vision, right? Then there is the executor. The work of the executor is to break down that vision into smaller components and run with that vision to ensure that that vision is being accomplished. That is the major work of a woman. The work of the man is to be able to cast a vision, and then he work closely with his wife, who is able to break down those visions and find a way to be able to accomplish that vision. The man is doing, if I mention his name, you will know. The man has the vision, but the person that bring that vision to life is his wife. Is his wife. You can ask a couple of men, they will tell you that. Ask wealthy and successful man, they will tell you that. Just reach out to them, they tell you, oh man, ask them what's the best thing that happened to you. They'll tell you that one of the best thing that happened to them is marrying their wife. Alex Homozi, I know you should know him. Go and study his wife. Very brilliant and smart woman. Very brilliant and smart woman. So if you want to be able to attain financial freedom or wealth early, it is very important the kind of partner you have. Very important. Very important. I have seen women who are executor marrying a foolish man, and pay attention to your partner. Oh. Let me not go beyond that. As an intelligent woman, you have no business marrying a foolish man. You have no business marrying any foolish man. All right, so how to break out of poverty? So you must acknowledge where you currently are. Number two, then we need to we are wrapping up shortly. Number two, you must be willing to commit to personal development through structured mentorship. You must be willing to commit to personal development through structured mentorship. Then number three, you must be willing to put in the commensurable amount of work that is needed, right? So you must acknowledge, oh, this is where I am currently in my life. Um, where I currently are, things are not moving well, certain things are broken, things are not just working well for me and all that. So you need to come to a point where if you perish, you perish. Find one thing you want to. I think next week we're now going to break down how to now really. We're going to talk about the game of money, and then we'll just wrap up this series. Find one thing you want to do, and then give it your all and do it extremely well. I'm going to also talk about certain things that you need to do, certain skill set that you need to have, and all that in next week, right? So if you want to come out of it, and then the last part of it is that you must belong to a community. You must have a community. It's very important, right? You must have a community of like-minded people like you, right? So how to break out? You must acknowledge where you are currently. So find out where you currently are. You must acknowledge it. Number two is you must be willing to commit to personal development through structured mentorship, right? There is nobody, there is nothing like a self-made millionaire. All those things are just lie. Everybody is made by somebody. Everybody is being made by a man. The person they claim to be self-made is made by another person. So the person that made him is the one that gave the person an opportunity, a spotlight. It could be the first person that gave him the biggest contract. It could be the person that raised their seed fund for them. It could be the person that connected them or speak to somebody that is deaf, right? So you must be willing, and then you must put in the commensurable amount of work that is needed. You must put in, or you must put in the work. You must put in the work. Rebuke laziness. Wake up in the night. Read. Study. Listen to podcasts. Listen to podcasts. One of the things you must know is that wealth is the obedience of laws and principle. Wealth responds to laws and principle. Wealth respond to laws and principle. So we're going to be looking up into those laws next week and the principles of wealth next week, right? So I don't want to keep us here longer than usual. So wealth is the obedience of laws and principles. Your ability to be able to find out the principle and to obey them. Remember, I was talking about wealth intelligence, and I broke down that wealth intelligence is your um no, was it wealth intelligence? Let me get it. Yes, we are talking about intelligence, and I said that intelligence is your capacity or your ability to be able to perceive pattern, right? Interrupt or interpret information accurately and make strategic decisions that improve outcome over time, right? So now wealth is your obedience to those laws and principles. Once you're able to recognize those laws and principles, then you can be able to now get the commensurable amount of work. You must be willing to commit yourself to doing one thing and be known for one thing for over a long period of time. One of the reasons this is, I'm also going to be breaking down, and let me just talk about it. We're also going to look into it next week. This is one of the reason why I've seen this principle happen with pastors, right? So what pastors actually do is they create content, they educate people, they are healing the sick, they are praying for people, they are shaping the mind of people, just like I'm doing right now. If I'm doing this thing and I'm doing it, the amount of money that you pay me, right? So I know how much people pay me for certain consultation, and I'm doing it here for free. I'm not being paid to do this. And I'm still going to spend because I'm spending money now. The platform you're using to host it, I'm spending money on it to be able to use the platform, right? I'm educating your mind, I'm improving your mind. My desire is that in the next 5 years, by 2030, at least I have like five people, a minimum, who are multi-millionaires, and they'll be like, "Hi, Felix. Oh, it was part of your training. I was part of Elite Tribe, and then most of the things you taught me, I practice it, and they become it was what brought me to where I am today. I did this for businesses. I saw businesses literally grow. Some of them did not acknowledge me. Some of them became proud. Whatnot. That's the business. I work with thousands of businesses, and we help them make money, scale their businesses to multiple numbers. If I see individuals, I meet people that become wealthy. Like by 2030, we have like 10 people who are multimillionaires. I've created vacuum already. There's no harm going to be poor. I getting me? So is my ability now to remain consistent, even though I'm not seeing the result over the next 10 years. One of the vision I had few years ago was to be able to raise young and wealthy people. In fact, when I had that vision, I didn't even have anything. Like there was nothing tied to my name. Nothing. In my mind, I'm like, how is that going to happen? And the thing is that I'm not even meant to collect money for it. I'm not meant to charge for it. I just have to do it. And I would have done this since, but the problem was I needed to be in a state of rest financially. If not, I would come here and I would have put that people should pay money so that I will show up, right? I need to be in a state of rest to be able to now say, okay, now I'm in the position of rest. I can be able to now carry out this assignment for as long as God help us. So yes, back to my principle. So one of the things that you need to know is your ability to be able to commit to one thing and to stay with that one thing for a very long period of time for people to get to know you. People must know you for doing what you are doing. People have to know you. People have to know you. People have to know you. The more people know you, it's easier for them to be able to trust you. I always say that the best product does not win. The best in fact, most of the people who are artists, who are singing, who are actually blessed, they're not the brightest of them all. But that is the people that we know. That's the people that we know, right? We do not know the other part of the people. So you can do the best thing, you can be the best fashion designer, you can sew the best clothes, but we don't know you. And if we don't know you, we can't help you. Unfortunately, we can't, right? So now let's talk about the four levels of wealth and then we'll close um yeah. So what are the four levels of wealth? Number one is labor. This is where everybody start from, right? When it has to do with labor, labor is you selling your time and energy. Labor is you selling your time and energy. So remember when I made mention of wealth, I said wealth is the abundance of resources, right? Resources, and then with the freedom of time, the ability to be able to generate or sustain it, and then the freedom of time and energy. So labor, if you always have to sell your time to make money, there's so much or there's so little of money that you can actually make, right? Unless you have the ability to be able to convert what you're doing at scale. For instance, um, pastors to an extent sell their time. How do I mean by that? They hold event, you come to church every day and they are teaching you and they are speaking to you. And they are now one of the things that makes theirs different is they are doing it at scale. So somebody who is speaking to 100,000 people and somebody who is speaking to 5 people will not get the same reward. So even if you are selling your time, you need to know, and you're selling your time and energy, you need to master how to do it at scale and sell it to a large number of people at the same time, where you are selling that time but to a large number of people at the same time. That's one of the things that you can do. So most people do it like an event where they create an event, people pay for that event, then they show up for that event and then they speak. So let's say for instance, if I collect 500 um dollars and I have 100 people that show up for this event, right? Now I can speak and then I've sold my time and my energy for it already and I make money. Are you getting me? So labor, right? So most people are in that labor stage, but certain people have mastered how to offer labor at scale, where you can sell your time and your energy, but to do it at scale. The second one is called skill set. For skill set, you don't just sell your time, you sell a solution, right? You sell expertise, you sell consultation, right? So most people are in skill set level where they sell a product, people come and buy the product, and then they are offering, they are standing, they're talking to people and offering it. Then the third one is called system. Remember what we made mention? God built a system. Everything God built was done in system. And then the fourth one is asset. Asset simply means you are able to own equity, distributions, or infrastructure. For assets, is your money that works for you, right? So your money goes and do the work. For system, is the people and the system you've put in place that works for you. Okay. Yeah. So there are other things we would like to talk about, but I think we'll just leave it for today, and then we're going to talk about it when we come in next week. So one of the things you must start to do is make a conscious decision to study patterns, pattern recognition. That's intelligence. One of the things I'm doing is, how is this guy wealthy? What exactly is he doing? Okay, what are the principles? What are the patterns available? Then you read the biography of wealthy people. Most of the top wealthy people do not come from a poor home. Let me tell you this right now. All these ones you hear, oh, this one drop out of school. This one they did not come from a poor home. Oh. Bill Gates was the richest man for 10, 10 years. I think there is nobody that's been the richest man for that long. Bill Gates did that for 10 consecutive years. And the reason why he did that was simple. The person that is his mentor is Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is the greatest investor of all time. That's his mentor. Secondly, he has his father who is a lawyer, a renowned lawyer that owned a law firm or worked with one of the major, biggest law firm in the world. Thirdly, his mother is part of the board of directors together with Warren Buffett. And they say that he just dropped out of school and became a. Don't listen to that. Oh, better go to school. Don't go and say if you don't have those positional advantage, right? So like this one is paradox of wealth positional advantage. If you don't have those positional advantage, then you have to work hard. You have to work extremely hard. Some of you are currently in the city that should bless you. I think let me just talk about David. So one of the things David was in his village and he was working, killing the bears and all those things. He was training his skill set, he was practicing his skill set, he was working and practicing it. He was putting everything he knows to use, right? So he was working hard, he was practicing it, he was putting everything he knows to use. But he would have remained poor. David would have even died poor. What did he do? He got an opportunity and he went to the city. He left Bethlehem and he moved to Jerusalem. When he went to Jerusalem, he saw an opportunity. So, what did he do? He did not solve a problem, he created a solution. The solution he created was that the Philistine was not going to challenge them again. So, he went there and fought Goliath and killed Goliath. Now, the bear and the lion and the bear that you have been fighting, they have been doing that in the secret. You will not be rewarded for the things you do secretly. Nobody will reward you for the things you do secretly. Nobody will reward you for the things you do secretly. If I don't know what you are doing, I cannot reward you. His reward only came when he was able to solve a larger problem, and people were able to witness that problem. So you must come to a point where people can be able to witness you solve that problem, right? So your reward in life is tied to the solution you created or the problem you solve and the difficulty in replacing you. So he was able to make that kind of leap. He was able to become wealthy. He was able to get people to come to him. Oh, we've read stories that kings started to follow him and people came to him and all that. The reason why they came to him was everybody had what he did. He defeated the giants. Like, do you know who Goliath is? Goliath was that tall that everybody feared him. Nobody could fight him. Even the captains of industry of they could not fight him. That's who Goliath was. He was that scary. If you see him, you will be afraid instantly. Instantly, fear will grip you. Like you don't that moment, fear will grip you. But what did he do? He solved a difficult problem at scale. He solved a difficult problem at scale. Just that one singular thing. That was it. People started saying that David killed 10,000, Saul killed 1,000. David killed 10,000. They started praising his name. So you must master the ability. That's why I say that you must master media literacy. You must master media literacy. Don't be in a point where you are shy of the skill set or the gift that you currently have. Somebody will take it. I think I'm going to talk about media literacy someday. You must master it. Must know how to use media for your good. Back then, I used to be like, oh, there's this scripture that they usually say that if you do good, don't let your left hand let your left hand see it. Let your left hand see it. People will reward you when they are able to see it. If they can't see it, they won't give you any reward. We live in a world driven by perception, not reality, driven by perception. The perception they have or the perceived value they have of you is what's going to determine if they're going to work with you or not. This is the reason why you see celebrity, once they attain certain kind of celebrity status, they go and buy certain car, even though it's a lie, even though it's not their car. They just talk to one person, give them car, they snap with it, right? So let me just leave it here. We spent like an hour plus, so can just call it a day. One of the things I'm going to be telling you is that live today with this mindset. Find the pattern that exists in your family and interrupt those patterns. It's very important. Find the patterns that exist in your family and interrupt those patterns. And after that, make sure that you refine the natural talents that you currently have. Then also look for problems and create solution. Solve difficult problem and don't solve difficult problem that nobody know. Don't go and be solving problem that nobody is aware of. Goliath was a real threat and they needed a problem to be solved and he solved it. He solved the problem that he got to the ears of the king. That was one. Second person I'm going to talk about is Joseph. Joseph solved a problem of hunger and famine in the land for 14 years. He solved that. That's two. Third person I'm going to be referring is Daniel. Daniel solved the problem of interpreting a hard sentence. See, people will reward you when you solve a large problem, when you solve a difficult problem to the right audience. Don't go and solve problem. If you are starting out, you can test your problem solving skill and your solution creation by solving problem of certain people within your environment, right? You can use those people to test it and know how your problem solving skills are. But when you are given the opportunity and you happen to stand before certain audience that can change your life, that is when you will be rewarded. The poor does not have the capacity to reward you. Just know that. They don't have the capacity to reward you. So you must solve problem at scale and you must solve it to the right audience. Okay. So yes, guys. So that we'll just call it a night or a day, and we'll just call it the end of Elite Tribe today. So Elite Tribe hold every Friday by 8 p.m. WAT. One of the things I'll need you to do is invite your friend, invite your loved ones, share it to your story, tell them to join. It's going to be an amazing time. One of the vision I have is to be able to see how we can be able to raise wealthy people by the end of 2030. We should have like 10 wealthy people coming out from our community, and it's going to help us to actually become better as a society. So that in case I'm coming to your organization, I can say, oh, I know this person was a person that helped me become wealthy and whatnot. It becomes easier to be able to build leverage and all that. So yes, guys. Thank you so much for your time. I sincerely appreciate it thus far. And I'm gonna be seeing you same time next week. So bye everybody.
Have you ever noticed how quickly we let the world control us? A single text message ruins your whole day. A co-worker's tone makes your heart race. A delay in traffic, and suddenly you're furious. It feels like the world is constantly poking at us, and we can't help but react. But what if I told you nothing can truly hurt you unless you let it? What if the real power is not in fighting back, but in not reacting at all? The Buddha taught pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. And the key that unlocks this wisdom is non-reaction. Today I invite you to go deep into this teaching, to discover why non-reaction is the ultimate power, and how you can practice it every day. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to stop giving away your peace, and start living from a place of strength that no one can shake. Let's get honest. Most of our suffering doesn't come from life itself. It comes from our reaction to life. A criticism isn't the real pain. It's your mental replay that hurts. Have you ever noticed how quickly we let the world control us? A single text message ruins your whole day. A co-worker's tone makes your heart race. A delay in traffic, and suddenly you're furious. It feels like the world is constantly poking at us, and we can't help but react. But what if I told you